First stage to come over falls in.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today? No, that wasn't good. I need a lot more energy than that. So we're going to redo that. How's everyone doing today? Alright, yeah, I guess that was a little better. Welcome aboard the Island Wanderers for your Millionaires Road Tour. Before we get started, I do have to go over a couple things. The very first one is how to put on one of these lovely orange life jackets in case if we do end up needing them today. They are very simple, very easy to put on. You pull apart the bottom, slip your head through the hole, grab the black or orange string, wrap it behind your body and clip it to the front. I will demonstrate that right now. Like I said, very easy, very simple. Those are located in the giant black bins on either side of me, as well as the one on the first deck. On the first sector in white bins. We do have children life jackets. There's absolutely no smoking on this vessel, so no cigarettes, no cigars, no e-cigarettes, and especially no marijuana. And like Captain Mike said, just be careful the benches you are sitting on are not bolted down, so please don't do anything rather than just sit in them. We do have a concession on board today. It is on the first deck. We sell pretzels, popcorn, hot dogs, nachos, soda, water, slushies. We have a fully licensed New York State bar downstairs, so we could add a little extra to that slushie for you. We do have restrooms on board. There are 2 of them. They are on either side of the concession stand towards the back of the boat. If you folks do bring anything up here on the top deck to eat or drink, we do ask you to please throw your trash away in any of the trash cans located throughout the vessel. As the wind will pick it up, it will fly in our river. We would like to keep our river clean, as well as hold on to anything that may fly away, such as hats, sunglasses, jackets, or bags. If they fly away, we do not turn around to go get them out of the water. Now that I'm all done with that, I'm going to be introducing the captain and the crew today. So behind me we have Captain Mike, who's going to be our captain for the day. Downstairs behind the concession stand we have Maddie, and my name is Jules. I'm going to be your tour guide today. To start off this tour, the section of the river we are in right now is called Millionaire's Row, or Millionaire's Colony. We have our very first island on your left-hand side. This is Cherry Island. The home at the end is called the Twin Pine Tree House, and it used to have an identical home right next to it that was its mirror image. These homes would have belonged to Nathan Strauss and Abraham Abrahams, who owned the A&S store down in New York City, which is now known today as Macy's. Abraham did die on this island, although Abraham's wife and Nathan ended up dying on the Titanic. Next on Cherry Island, we have Casablanca, which means White House in Spanish. It was originally owned by Albert Pullman, and it held the name Melrose Lodge until it was purchased by Louis Marks, the maker of Cuban cigars, for a small sum of $3,500. Marks was the one that named it Casablanca, and the home was renovated and re-enlarged for his daughter's wedding. It is now owned by the Amsterdam family, and they hold lots of weddings and wedding receptions on the island. You are going to notice that the seawall is quite unusual, as it does have lions, dragons, and gargoyles on it, and the eyes and mouths are all painted red, and they were placed there during the Prohibition years to keep the spirits away. To keep the alcohol spirits away. In the keyholes in the side of the seawall were to welcome guests as well as signal the rum runners when it was safe to cross. Lastly, at the end of Cherry Island, we have Winley Lodge, which is this brown cabin right here. Winley Lodge was the last of the Victorian-era homes built on Millionaire's Row. It was built in 1913 for the Frasers out of Solvay, New York. It gave the couple an easy access to their favorite golf course on Wellesley Island, the Thousand Islands Country Club. And if any of you folks have ever had anything by the brand of Kellogg, like their famous Rice Krispie treats or some of their cereals, they used to own Winley Lodge. And for you folks sitting on the right-hand side, you've been doing so well for me so far. I have a giant rock coming up for you. Now this rock does have a name. It's called Devil's Oven. It is alleged that the privateer Bill Johnson hid in the cave which you can see at the opening at the edge of the water. He was wanted for treason for sinking the British steamship, the Sir Roberts Peel, during the Patriots' War of 1837. The authorities ended up capturing Bill when they followed his daughter back, who was trying to bring him supplies. So Bill turned himself in, and he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Although he did have a presidential pardon, under the condition, he served as the lighthouse keeper at Rock Island Lighthouse, which is about 4.5 miles upriver in Fisher's Landing. Bill lived out the rest of his days on the river, and he is now buried in Clayton, New York. On your left-hand side, we have Cuba Island, and yes, it is in the shape of Cuba if you're to look down upon it from above. But this island is owned by John McCullough, Vice President of the Chase Manhattan Bank, Boston, Massachusetts. He purchased this island in 1979, and he still spends his late springs to early falls on the island to this day. On your right-hand side, we have Wheeler Island. The structure at the end is a replica of the original boathouse. They just finished fit up last summer. And at the other end, this large modern home. This was built on the foundation of the Wawunet Inn. The Wawunet Inn was a famous boatel and restaurant only accessible by boat, but unfortunately it burned down during the 70s after being struck by lightning. And on your left-hand side, road is Tree Park. This is going to be Key State Park, one of the 26 New York State parks within the Thousand Islands region. It is accessible by both car and boat. The seawall and the gazebo are two of the original structures still remaining from when it first became a New York State park back in the early 1900s. It does have an Olympic-sized swimming pool, as well as campgrounds and playgrounds. And it has one of the most popular marinas here in Alexandria Bay, and I'll talk a little bit more about that once we get a little more closer to it. On your right-hand side, we have Comfort Island. The Clark family out of Santa Barbara, California, owned this lodge for over 100 years. It is now owned by the Brown family, and they have a lot of brown bear statues located throughout the island. If you look down towards the water, we do have some playful little cubs down there. And if you look all the way to the top of the house, you will notice the bear holding the sun. This is called the Widow's Watch or the Widow's Walk. This small architectural feature allows for viewing of the river. If you were to view the river from all the way up there, it'd give you about a 4.5 mile view. On your left-hand side, this is the marina for Key State Park. And like I said a couple moments ago, it is one of the most popular ones here in Alexandria Bay. And that's because of the easy access to the main shipping channel, as well as this giant dock going all the way down out front right here. That is called a break wall, and it breaks the wake going in. And if you don't know what a wake is, it's just the waves created from all the boats out here on the river. And it breaks it, and it protects the boats sitting there docked on the dock so that they don't rub up against it or hit it. And this marina is so popular, it takes about 5 years for your boat slip to get approved. On your left-hand side, this island with the house with the clock tower on it, this is Artificial Island. This is a man-made island, which you are no longer allowed to do up here. But the backstory behind it is Mrs. Rose really wanted an island here in the Thousand Islands, as she loved the river and the wildlife. Unfortunately, she couldn't find an island that she liked, so she asked her husband to build her one. And he did. He found a bunch of shoals that were really close together, built a seawall around them, pumped all the water out, filled it back in with dirt. He had his very own island. Then he built the home on the island, and when he went to go present it to her, she goes, I don't really like this island, I don't really like this area, and I don't really like you. So she left all three of them. That island is for sale for $2.5 million. It's behind us now, but the bridge all the way off in the distance back there, that is the Thousand Islands Bridge. That is the first out of the 5 spans to get across into Canada, and it is the largest out of all 5 of them. That is the U.S. Ascension Span, as it connects the U.S. mainland to Wellesley Island. And Wellesley Island is the largest American island up here on the St. Lawrence River. It's about 4.5 miles long and 9 miles long. This thing on your left-hand side is the island. This particular part of the St. Lawrence River is called the American Narrows. That bridge that we were just looking at is soon going to be gone as we take this slight bend in the river. Now, it may not be very noticeable on our boat, but for the 740-foot long and 80 feet wide ships that pass through here, it is much more dangerous, which is why you will never see 2 ships passing each other through here at the same time. The home sits on 84 acres on Wellesley Island. It has 2 guest houses on the property, and it was just recently sold to the grandson of E.J. Noble back in 2021 for a small sum of $1.7 million. Hotel-style train, the Pioneer, is one that brought President Lincoln's body back to Springfield. He held a week's vacation with President Grant at the time on the island. Unfortunately, there was no structure on the island yet, so the President and his company had to put up tents and sleep in them. In the distance on the left-hand side, that yellow building with the green roof, the bigger portion of that is the Highlands Country Club. It has 2 18-hole golf courses. The smaller portion of that is 1,000 yards young. Next, on your left-hand side, have Maui Island. It has one of the oldest island homes built in the region, built about 1870. That stone bridge was very popular and it drew many visitors, so a second one was built on the property. You'll notice those unusual stone pillars and green chain granite drawn from the bottom of the St. Lawrence River. They are solely held in place by the second and third floors. Next we have Friendly Island. Rumor has it if you wave at that white fence, it might get back at you. The Quackenbush family in Niagara, New York visit on this island. Mr. Quackenbush's great-grandfather was a built the air rifle at Niagara. He sold the patent for the air rifle to the Nazi Corporation not to sell the Red Ryder meeting. Don't you worry. And this island with the giant white anchor on it is the St. Elmo's Island. St. Elmo is the patron saint of all sailors, and the anchor commemorates all the men and women who have lost their lives on the river. The A-frame house that sits atop the island replaces the original house destroyed by fire. The boathouse and house are the original structures. And right behind it, the giant white house with the brown granite that is known as Switchaway. This is where George Holt would have housed all of the Swiss engineers and architects that supervised the construction of the castle. Now they're just convicts. These next couple of islands will be the one on the left-hand side. They are known as the Florence, Bellin, and Fairmont Islands. And they all are part of the Niagara Trail, and they all have one unfortunate endings. That's our members that set homes on fire, Great Depression, and received an insurance money. When they realized that they were never able to see that money because the insurance companies were out of money, they decided to abandon the islands. The islands didn't get new homeowners until the 1990s, and now they all have beautiful modern construction on them. Coming up is the highlight of any 200,000 islands, Holt Castle on Hart Island. George Holt purchased Hart Island in 1897 and began construction in 1899. The castle itself is boasting 70,000 square feet, which is roughly the same size as the White House. Construction lasted 5 years, cost about $2.5 million, and the castle was being built for George's wife, Louise. And this tiny little island on your left-hand side, that tiny little red house on it, that is known as Just Room Enough. It is teasing this island was built for the other woman in George's life, like his mother-in-law. Rumor has it she was a sleepwalker. It is now privately owned by a family out of Hopkinsburg, New York. The very first structure you're going to be seeing on Hart Island is the Ark of Honor. It is a replica of the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, and this is where George and Louise would meet their guests coming onto the island. For George, it symbolizes triumph over poverty. Next, we have the Ulster Tower, or the Children's Playhouse. It was designed to resemble a sand castle. This is the only structure on the island the Holt family actually got to live in. It is now informally known as George's Man Cave, as it housed a billiard room, a bowling alley, and a small stage, all to entertain their guests. The castle itself stands 6 stories high, 122 rooms, 45 fireplaces, 36 bathrooms, and 365 windows, one for every day of the year. The upper levels consisted of living quarters grouped into suites for their guests, while the second floor was for the Holt family. The grand social areas, like the living room, dining room, and ballroom, are all on the ground floor. And beyond those bay windows, there is an in-ground swimming pool, as well as the very first celebration of the TI bridge system, a stray rocket struck the powerhouse roof. The building was headed by fire, and the tracks were lost. The structure you see today is in complete reconstruction. Then right behind the old castle, a giant dark brown building. That is George Holt's yacht house, and that is where he would have housed all his big, beautiful yachts. You can tour George Holt's yacht house today. It is an additional cost on top of your castle admission. It's about $3 per person to go see the yacht house. If you'd like to purchase those tickets or have any questions about that, you can buy them on the dock of the castle. We will be stopping at the castle at the very end of this tour, and I will talk more about that as we come back in this section. George Holt's story was a true rags to riches story, as he was an immigrant who went all over the world. Getting his first job as becoming a dishwasher was to save enough money to have his own chicken farm. When all else failed, George ended up joining the hospitality industry, and that's where he met his lovely employees. All in the hospitality industry, they invented linen service, private room service, and private bathrooms. That is how they made all their money in order to purchase Fort Island. And after purchasing Fort Island in 1897, George began construction, telling his workers that the cost was not important, just the love of his life. During the spring of 1902, Louise became ill with tuberculosis, and she sadly ended up passing away as a very busy. This forced him to care to all his workers until they got to stop the work and leave behind the This next island I'm going to be talking about, it is a little ways ahead of us. It's called Tugboat or Coyote Island. And Mr. Carhart, the inventor and creator of the sunglasses, used to own this island. He used to work for the Ray-Bans Sunglasses Company, and he had designed lots of the famous styles of them back in the 80s and 90s. And after he had retired, he bought this island. While living on the island, he'd invite his friends over to fishing, swimming, and just to hang out with him. But eventually Mr. Carhart got so upset because his friends kept dropping their Ray-Ban sunglasses in the water and were unable to retrieve them. And if you know anything about Ray-Ban sunglasses, they are very expensive. So Mr. Carhart came out of retirement and started his own style of sunglasses. They are called bobs, where if you drop them in the water, they float. A genius invention, especially if you're on a boat just like me, or if you love to fish or just being out on the water. As soon as you drop them in, they stay right on the surface. We do some of those downstairs in the concession for $20 a piece if any folks did want to hear. They all say Coyote on them, but if you want the ones that specifically float, they say Bobs on the side going up towards the ear. That is this island on your left-hand side with the greenhouse and green roof on it, Tugboat or Coyote Island. I bet you if you went diving around that small island, you would find lots of pairs of Ray-Ban sunglasses. Now, I have been talking for a while since we left the boards at Inwood is a small break. This would give you folks time to get up and visit the concession or use the bathroom or get up and stretch your legs. And I will pick back up on the tour once we leave the big chicken joint. tour. You folks sitting on the right-hand side made it so welcoming yet again. Have another rock for you. Now this rock is an island. It's called Elephant's Back. And you're probably wondering, what are the requirements of an island? That's just a rock sitting out of the water. It has to have 3 requirements. It has to be out of the water every single day of the year. Have 3 square feet of grass or shrubbery, and it has to have at least 1 tree on it. I know there's no tree on the island. It fell down. It's laying on its side, and we still count it as an island. Also on your right-hand side, that giant gray house over there, that is Sunnyside Island. And the John Butts family out of Utica, New York, built this island in 1902. It was designed to line up with it when it's on a compass. That way, at any time throughout the day, the sun can shine on one of the main sides of the home. And the smaller island right in front of it, that is Crow Island. It's another man-made island. And it is owned by a local resident out of Alexandria Bay. And he built it as a hunting and fishing retreat to get away from tourists in the bay. Backfired, we bring about 10 boatloads of tourists every single day. And more conveniently, he now works at Polk Castle. Then right behind it, that giant house is half brown, half white. That is Idlewild Island. And this was built by a 24-year-old at Pennsylvania. He just graduated college and felt he was deserving of the present, so he bought the island and built a grand home on it. His name is Asa Packard, and his family founded the Lehigh Valley Railroad as well as Lehigh University. Of this tour. It can be seen from both sides of the vessel, so if you do happen to look over, just be careful. I'm going to go over here. This is where my microphone reaches. There it is. We just approached the bow of the boat. It's just now passing me. It's about halfway, 3/4, and we just passed it. Did you guys see anything? I'm hoping everybody saw nothing. I'd be pretty worried if you did see something. It is the imaginary boundary line between U.S. and Canada. Welcome to Canada, everyone. Made you look. Don't worry, you won't be in Canada for long. Just a quick, short trip. But you may be wondering, how are we even in Canada right now? We didn't go through customs, we didn't show anyone our passports or our enhanced licenses. And it's pretty simple. As long as we don't anchor down or dock or do anything that requires us to get off of this boat, we can be in Canada as long as we want without having to check in. And that goes for any other boat out there in the river. On your right-hand side, we have our only Canadian island of this tour. This is called Pompelli Island. There is a cross all the way at the top with the letter F painted on it, and it has an inscription that reads, "In memory of Francis A. Stout, July 18, 1892, waiting for the resurrection." Francis Stout purchased this island with the intentions of building a big summer home on it. Unfortunately, he passed away prior to the construction starting, so the family put a restriction in the deed by paying the taxes for the next 100 years to prevent anything from being built. The restriction has expired, but the new owners of the island still follow that rule today, as they'll just put a tent at the top of that hill and sleep in it. This island is a home to lots of wildlife in the region: bald eagles, osprey, seagulls, snakes, sometimes deer. I'm trying to see if I can see any bald eagles sitting in the trees. Not seeing any side of the island, that's where most of their nests are. But this island consists of American bald eagles and Canadian bald eagles, where the only difference are their wingspans. As an American bald eagle's wingspan is about 6 feet, while a Canadian bald eagle's wingspan is about 2 meters. If you didn't get that joke, don't worry, I didn't get it the first time I was told it either. They are roughly the same exact height. Right-hand side, that tiny village all the way off in the distance over there. That is Rockport, Ontario. That is the sister village to Alexandria Bay because they have a lot of similarities. Just like Alex Bay, Rockport is a very big tourist town. They have that one strip with all the shops, all the restaurants, and all the ice cream you can eat. And they even have their own boat line. It's called the Rockport Boat Line, just like Alex Bay has Uncle Sam's. There's only one difference between the two villages, and it's just a small, tiny difference. It's just simply that Rockport doesn't have the meat. That's the only difference. Also on your right-hand side, where you see that tower all the way off in the distance, it kind of looks like some kind of screw. That's a Thousand Island Sky Deck. It's an observation tower. It's located on Penn Island, it's in Canada, so you would need a passport or an Indian's license to go visit. It does have an elevator on the inside. It takes about 26 seconds to get to the top. The top of it is a 360-degree view of the entire river and about 27 miles visibility. I do not know when they're open or when they are closed. They like to open and close as they please. So if you would like to visit, I do recommend coming ahead. There is one other fish among the ones I just named. They are on the endangered species list because they are too overfished for their eggs. And they are called sturgeons. And these things are huge. When fully grown, they can be up to 7 feet long and weigh over 200 pounds. So if you ever come back up here in the Thousand Islands and end up catching one, make sure you snap a quick picture of yourself with the fish. So people believe you think they'll 7-foot fish. And just release them back into the water just because we don't want to endanger them more than what they already are. On your left-hand side, we have Deer Island. This is famous for the white-tailed deer that can swim in the water. Yes, it's true. We've had to stop for them before. It does get a little annoying, but they make it to the island safe and sound. This island was owned by George Miller, who was an amateur archaeologist. He loved to travel the world to collect interesting artifacts, such as samurai swords, suits of armor, and it's even rumored he had the first copy of the Gutenberg Bible. Sadly, lightning struck his library and all was lost. Upon George's death, he willed the island to the Skull and Bones Society